Hello, good afternoon. My name is Kieta of Kieta Knit Podcast. I am here with another episode of knitting stuff. Yeah. Who loves to knit? Me. Who loves to knit? Me. I've just been lacking a little motivation. I think last time I was telling you that I was reading the ACOTAR series, which if you don't know, it's fantasy about fairies and fae, and then I got into Fourth Wing, which I liked so much better, and that's about dragons and, dragons and love, and it's kind of silly when you describe it out loud, honestly. I've gotten really into that. Braidy is like full-on toddler. We're tantruming and we're walking around. We're trying to run into the street. So we're running after her, and it is spring here in Illinois. Finally, although it is like high of 57 today, I'm itching my eye because allergies are nuts with everything blooming. But we've been trying to do some yard work and still working out in the evening. So, whenever I want to do these podcasts, I'm literally look like I got out of bed, and I would not like to look like that for you guys. I want to be all spiffy and have some makeup on and be wearing my knit stuff. But the reality is most of my days I spend in leggings, and yeah, so it is what it is. I have finished some things though. I've finished, I've worn them. I have given some away. I am working on so many whips right now. It's insane. But first, to start, I want to show you what I'm wearing. I don't have them on because they're socks, and I didn't want to do what I did a couple episodes ago where I hold my feet up and I'm like, look at this socks I'm wearing. It just is hard for me to do that. So I took them off for this. La 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 la. These are the Midnight Dancer socks by Sari Nordland. They have this ruffle at the top. This is one of my finished objects too. Cute little ruffle that you have to cast on 257 stitches twice. And I do magic loop, so it was like casting on 500 stitches. And it's so miserable to count that. I know I could put markers, and I think I did for the first 100 and the second, or the 200, and then, but I still get unsure. I don't want to put all that work in and then start knitting and not have double checked that I actually have that many stitches on my socks or on my needles. And so just a lot of counting. They look a little bit rugged because I've already worn them. I've told you guys, I am trying to be a sock knitter. I'm really trying. The recommended height for this, I think, was 5 inches. I made them more of crew, so it is actually pretty short, but it's just the perfect peekaboo right out of my shoes, or if I'm wearing clogs. The fiber that I used is Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and it's their Bear Paw sock yarn. And yeah, soft. It was left over from my tessellated socks, totally tessellated socks by Andrea Mowry. So I was glad to use my, like, the yarn that I already had, my scrap yarn, if you will, stash slash scrap. Very happy with how these turned out. I think with Magic Loop, and I don't know, I've never knitted socks on, I can't think of, double pointed needles. So, but I feel like maybe there's less of a hole here because I feel like my Magic Loop really stretches the hole here. Yeah, I don't know. I used, so Sorry Nordland gives you like a couple of different options for your heels, and I did the like German short row sock heel, which is my first time doing. Pretty easy. It's like German short rows. Oh. Yeah. Here are my socks. Colored dumplin. They look like a couple of dumplins, don't they? Have you guys watched that movie Dumplin? With it's like Dolly Parton themed. Jennifer Aniston's in it. I really liked that. Super cute. But yes, here are my socks. Okay, that is what I'm wearing and one of my finished items. My other finished item, so I finished those slippers that I was making. What were they called? Nomad slippers by Wool and Beyond. I'll post a photo here. They were great. They turned out wonderful. They were small for my feet. That is what happens when you don't gauge swatch. I ran out of yarn and they were too small for my feet. Luckily, my sister has small feet and they fit her perfectly. What do I have to say about them? They're really cool. They're unique. Besides being a little bit too small. I think that's also why I'm like, I mean, like I said, I'm trying to be a sock knitter, but a little bit dissuaded because I can't really, one, get good pictures. My feet are huge. They're like 9.5, 10. I mean, they're not cute, dainty feet, so sometimes I just get embarrassed to, like, I mean, whose feet are pretty, really? I don't know. Maybe Margot Robbie's in the Barbie movie. But not mine. Mine are big. Your girl was a swimmer. Flip, flop, flip, flop, flip. I would really like to make another pair, obviously, for myself, but I have so many other whips right now that it'll have to wait until winter time. So last April was birthday month. Another reason that it just didn't work for me to get on and podcast. But my sister turned 30 and we had this Napa trip planned. We were meeting our parents who had a medical conference out there, and then we were just tagging along. Me and my sister, it was the first time I left Braidy. I almost cried at the airport, leaving her. But I just pretended that this is just, I'm working for the weekend, and it's like I'm not gonna see her for my work weekend, you know? I managed, we had a really good time. All this to say that I wanted to wear the cardigan, what's it called? The Biche Bouche cardigan, which I'll be showing in my whips, but I did not finish it. There was no way. I didn't even start it until the end of the month. And I was like, well, I know I'm not gonna finish this, so I will just make this other sweater. For my birthday, I bought myself a lot of patterns on Ravelry, especially from other loops. She has that cardigan that I was obsessed with, and then also, because it's like a braided loop cardigan. Anyway, I bought the cardigan, and I'm gonna show that later. And then I also bought the sweater, and I was like, you know what? This other like mohair, it was called the light loop sweater. All of her things have like the word loop in it because hers is like other loops. You know, her marketing is like other loops. So yeah, I made the light loop sweater. If you follow me on Instagram, I like bombarded Instagram with this light loop sweater. It was perfect. It was lightweight because it was hot there. It's such a beautiful sweater. Yeah, perfect for this transitional spring to summer / winter to spring. It's definitely gonna get a lot of use. I've already worn it like 3 times since making it, which is a lot for me. The yarn that I used to knit that up was La Vietnamese Mohair silk in the color Rust, I believe. Rust or Caramel. I don't know if I'm getting it confused with, it's actually probably Caramel, because I think I had knitting for Olive that was rust colored. Either way, it was Rust or Caramel, and it was, yeah, it's a beautiful color. I think it gave me a lot of like retro vibes for sure. It definitely screamed 70s. But I had that yarn because I thought I was gonna make the Ewan sweater with white, but I felt like the contrast with the white was just a little bit too much for me and didn't really look good together, and then it was giving off this yellow vibe that I wasn't really into. But yeah, so it ended up working perfect for it. It was fast knit because I think they were on like size US 10 needles, and I was able to get that done for Napa, so very exciting. But those are my 3 finished objects. So the Midnight Dancer socks, the slippers, and then the light loops sweater. Now we're gonna talk about whips. So what am I working on? I have a couple things that I'm working on. Because July is fast approaching. We're, like I mentioned in a lot of previous podcasts, we are going to Italy. And so I'm just really trying to get a lot of stuff done for Italy. And then also with this weather, I'm just really feeling like I'm lacking cardigans, which I have said, and my goal this year was to knit cardigans. So my goal right now is to finish the whips that I have going that I started last year during the summer, and then also to get these cardigans off. And then also, I'll talk about another one later. The first one I'm going to talk about though is my Scribble top, which I kind of mentioned previously in the last couple of episodes. I got the back done finally. This is the back. Doesn't it just look like a work of art? Or does it look like a net? I don't know. I just think, like, look at the detail of those stitches. And then like a little bralette in it, and then wearing like a cardigan over it. And it's just so cute. This is the back. And I have like little stitch markers here to tell me where to connect the body of the front. It's really a fast knit because it's 8 US 8 needles and US 8 or 8 millimeter? No, I think it's like US 8 and US 11. So you're working like back and forth on 2 needles. I can show you here maybe, and all my other stuff. Let's see. Okay, so this is the front. Oh wow, I'm right in the middle. Oh, I ran out of yarn. That's why. But I'm using, US 15. Yeah, that's a big boy. That's a big boy. And then US 8. So I was right about the 8. And they're on the same needle. I got an adapter. Maybe you can see. It probably won't show up. I think you guys can imagine what an adapter is. I got an adapter so that the small could do the large too. So then I just go like back and forth. Instead of changing, instead of having like 2 sets of needles and I'm like going back and forth, losing the work. It was perfect. I didn't even know they made that stuff. They think of everything. But yeah, so this is how far I've gotten on the front. And that was like just a day's worth of knitting. So, I mean, I really have no excuse to get this done. The yarn that I'm using for it is Isager's made in Italy. I wonder if they have a lot of this. Anyway, I'm going to Italy, if you didn't know. It's called Palet in the color Dunes. And it's this like cotton. It's just such a fun cotton. Like, it's like speckled. It's like flat almost. You probably can't even. You can kind of see that it's like flat. I don't know. It's just so cool. 100% cotton. What else? What else can we know about it? You want to know my lot number? Just kidding. Yeah. I've had a lot of fun working with it. I personally love like summertime knits because they're not usually itchy, and I mean, I love wearing knits in the summer, and this is gonna be such a good top, I feel like. My other whip. Let me just drop it. I'm almost done with this skein. Is the cardigan, the Biche Bouche. I don't know. Isn't this pretty? It's fingering weight, so it's taken me a long time. What is this called again? Here it is. My daughter likes to rip my, if I print it out, she likes to rip it. Biche Bouche number 2. Biche and Bouche number 2. There we go. Look at that. That's going to be really pretty when it's done. The lacework, it's lightweight because it's that fingering yarn. It'll be kind of, it's this similar color. I'm not using Biche Bouche yarn. I'm using Rama, I think it's called. Again, I'll have it on the screen. It's a very woolly wool. It's definitely like, when I'm knitting it, it's pretty itchy. But it's a cardigan, so it's not gonna be like straight on my skin. It gives me like Jameson feel. I think it's like a Norsk, it's yarn made in Norway, but, and it's rolling up a little. So once that's blocked, it'll be great. And I'm doing, buttons on mine. They have options where you wouldn't have to do the buttons. And I'm knitting a size 2. I gauge swatched. I'm really making sure, like with any sweater that I do, I'm gauge swatching because I don't want to, can you see it? There, yeah, the buttons. Buttonholes. I don't want to spend all this work knitting a fingering weight sweater to not have it fit, understandably. So I'm really hoping my gauge swatch is correct. It's looking like it's going to be oversized, but that's kind of like the look of it, and that's what I want. So I'm really excited to have that done. I'm hoping I have it done by Italy, but it's fast approaching, so I'm not entirely sure. Oh, look at this beautiful lacework up top. Very pretty. So that's what one cardigan that I'm working on. The other cardigan that I'm working on is by Other Loops again. Oh, it's not even in this bag. It's in this bag. And it's the loop cardigan. I am using Isager again, Jensen, and I'm also combining it with Farmer's Daughter Fibers Mohair and Silk to get this nice cream color, which I think would be a great neutral. And it's so pretty. You can see like the cables there that'll go down the arm and then across the back. It's just, yeah, it's really nice. Very pretty. Got my beautiful stitch marker on, or Progress Keeper by Soft Spoken. I also got some buttons from her that are just absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if I'll use them for this cardigan because I think I want to stick with like the more neutral colors for buttons, but I definitely want to make a fun one and then put the buttons that she made on it. So those are the two cardigans that I'm working on, and that's my progress on them. I'm like do one row a day right now because I'm focusing on a test knit that I am working on, and on also a shawl that I definitely want to have done by Italy because I want to be able to wear it in the church because we are going to a wedding. I will show you the test knit first. Oh my goodness. Wow, I'm in a mess. Oh gosh. Oh, guys, password. Okay. I have it on small needles, so it doesn't look like it's a shirt right now. But I am knitting the Augusta top by Hailey Hodge. It is a test knit. I have to finish it by the end of June, which I think will be plenty of time. It's like a cropped top with a low back. It's just gonna be so pretty. I'm so excited to knit it. I am using Rowan cotton cashmere. I consider this like a heavy DK, and I'm knitting it in more of a neutral color because I want to wear it with like blue jeans or like denim shorts and be able to put like a cardigan over it. And like I said, I'm just trying to keep things more neutral so that I pull them in my closet more and that I can wear like statement pieces with them, but they can be like the base. My door just opened. I think it's just the wind, but I'm not gonna lie, my heart just jumped out of my chest. It has a lot of pretty lace work. Hailey Hodge and I went to college together, and she studied art, and I believe she studied printing to be exact, but probably her scope was way more than I'm giving credit. But she's actually living in Italy now, and takes a lot of the inspiration for her knitwear designs from Italy and her surroundings. And I believe okay, now it's my dogs. So the Augusta top was named after the August song from Taylor Swift's album, which I think is fun. I like Taylor Swift sometimes. Every time I listen to her songs, I'm like, sounds like every other song she's ever written. And then it slowly grows on me. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I listen to her. Am I obsessed? Have I ever been to a concert? No. Anyway, very excited to be knitting this, and I love that song actually. Do, 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 do. I can't actually put the song here because I'll get copyrighted. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. The next whip that I have going, I told you guys, I have a lot of whips. And surprisingly, I work on them like every day. So you'd think I'd be finished, but I'm not. This is gonna be a shawl. It's the Boho Blush shawl by Andrea Mowry. No surprise there. I've just started working on the brioche portion of the shawl. I think this is a very pretty color. Wool & Company is kind of my local yarn store. They're like 30 minutes away. The closest one is String Theory Yarn. I don't know. It's in Glen Ellen, Illinois. but they don't have as many options as Wool & Company, and I got very, very excited about Knitting for Olive being sold at Wool & Co. Because I've always wanted to work with this silk, this pure silk Knitting for Olive yarn. Now I don't have to order it online. I can just go into the store and look at it and be like, yeah, I like this color. No, I don't. But I thought this color was nice. I was looking at the color analysis stuff, and I was like, oh, it would be kind of cool to get my like color analysis, because you know everyone's doing it and I'm a trend follower, I guess. And then I was like, it's probably like $100, which would be kind of steep. And then I looked that up and saw that it was like $400, and I was like, yeah, I will not be getting my color analysis. I'm gonna assume that I'm a summer or a spring. I think I'm more of a summer though. And the light blues, the pinks do me good because my eyes are like light. My hair's, I dye it blonder and look better with blonder hair, even though like my roots have gotten pretty dark, especially since having a baby. But I think she's a summer. You tell me, what am I? What am I? I think that's all my whips. As far as acquisitions go, I think I'm working on everything I want to work on right now, to be honest. I'm using the yarn that I have. The only thing I did want to do is start thinking about what Braidy's outfit is going to be for her birthday, because it's going to be September before you know it. My baby's going to be 2. I feel like I just had her. What is happening? People tell you it goes by fast, but you don't actually believe it. This is what I bought for my baby. Some pretty blue yarn. I think she's also a summer. We both have like red hair. No. Red hair. Blonde hair. And blue eyes. So I think that'll look good on her. I was thinking about doing a design by Knitting for Olive. I have this one dress one, but it might be too like, it's a tank top, but I guess I could put a cardigan over it and it would be perfect for September. Last year, it was just too warm for her to wear the dress, and she didn't really like the alpaca, and every time I try to put it on her now, she's like, get it off, Mom, get it off. She's like, I made you a fingering weight dress, okay? Wear it. Mommy monster. That's what we do around the house. Mommy monster, mommy monster. Mommy monster's gonna get you. And yeah, I don't know if I'll keep that in, but okay. That is it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I don't know when I'm gonna be able to get on here next, but I hope that you guys are knitting all the things that brings you joy, and you are taking advantage that all of this wonderful weather has to offer. I think we all pretty much have wonderful weather now. In the US. Actually, I don't know. Alaska could be still snowing. What do I know? You know? What do I know? But get outside. Go for a walk. Release some endorphins. That's the nurse talking. See ya!